For more, I'm joined by our Europe editor, Eve Irvine. Thanks very much for joining us, Eve. The new Bulgarian president-elect pitched as a pro-Russia. Is that what won him the election?
It was definitely part of what won it for him. There's a growing discontentment with corruption in the country. A lot of people voting against, if you like, that centre-right party that was in power in the government, saying that it hadn't done enough to bring in reforms, to withdraw the power of oligarchs and big business in a government in the country. So this non-party politician, if you like, which is what Rumen Radev is seen as, that definitely appealed. There's also growing disappointment in Bulgaria in relation to the European Union. It joined back in 2007. It's still the union's poorest country and feels very much that it's down on Brussels' lists of to-do list. It does get a lot of aid from the EU, something like 5% of its GDP, I believe, which is quite substantial, but it says comparatively, when you look at the amount of money it could bring in from Russian-linked business in the country, it's perhaps not enough. And there is a fear, really, and that's where he played into that part of the electorate. There's fear that turning Russia into the enemy is definitely having a negative impact on Bulgaria. These EU sanctions that have been put in place since 2014 and rolled over on a 6-month basis, they've had a direct impact on Bulgaria, even in terms of tourism, a massive hit to their economy. Rumen Radev saying that he wants to lift these, he wants to renegotiate or refine the balance really between the EU and Russia. He says he does want to keep both sides in play, if you like, being Europhil. He said wasn't being a Russia-phone, and we'll have to see how he manages to do that. It is a ceremonial role, but he will be calling for those sanctions to be lifted. He wouldn't be the only European leader to do so. I mean, we're hearing from Hungary, Greece, Italy, other countries questioning the effectiveness of those sanctions, which are again up for renewal in December.
And Bulgaria, not the only country in that part of the world, perhaps starting to look more favourably towards Moscow.
No, indeed. As you mentioned it there, we also saw Moldova this weekend elect a pro-Russian president, Igor Dodon. Now, he has, in his campaign, said he would hold a referendum on Moldova, not an EU member, but, they have an association agreement with the EU since 2014, and he said he'd hold a referendum on that because he really wanted to change the course of the country altogether and really get it looking more towards the east. So, EU concerns about that as well. Also in the same neighbourhood, we have Serbia, who has just wrapped up this week military exercises with Russia, an exercise they call the Slavic Brotherhood. And Montenegro, just last month, their pro-EU Prime Minister lost out in those elections. So definitely concerns growing in Brussels, in those EU institutions, as to which direction Eastern European countries are looking, notably when we've seen what's just happened in the United States with their President-elect Donald Trump also calling for warmer ties with Russia.